Casemiro time in Manchester United is not a failure as often described, because if you are not biased, if you are not being sentimental or being partial, if you take a look at the bigger picture and not look at the later stage of his career in Manchester United, you realize that this guy has been one of our best signing in these past years. Because if you take a look at when Casemiro came into the Manchester United squad, the leadership, the mentality, even when it's not playing well, you still know that this guy, the passion is there. You see it in his face and all that. The first season he came to Manchester United, we qualified for the Champions League. We made the top four. Also, we get to win something. So that is what we've not enjoyed for some years now. Casemiro is one of our best signing because, in terms of set pieces, aside from Maguire, is one of our best reliable player in terms of set piece. He score goals, he give an assist, he does his best. And look at the goal he scored against Leon. I mean, that match alone tells you that this guy is one of, in the history of Manchester United, is not going to be forgotten, anytime soon. Because one thing I like about Casemiro is that he knows his shortcomings, he knows that he's old, and it's an honorable thing to, know when to leave when the music is still playing, not when you are being, hammered and all that. And I feel like what really happened about Casemiro that we didn't, get to see, to get to enjoy his best at this later stage of his career in Manchester United is that, one, the changes of the coach, it affected almost all players. Aside from the only player that was stable in Manchester United was Fernandes. Outside Fernandes, no other player was stable. No other player was stable, because the changing of coaches, change of pattern, change of formation, always we tell on players, because every player has their own pattern of play. Yes, the age, caught up with him, and it's not his fault, because when Casemiro came to Manchester United, Casemiro was not supposed to be a long-time solution to Manchester United midfield. When Casemiro came, everybody knew that this guy is already old. The legs of Real Madrid are not there, but I feel like he came just to pass down the experience. When they bring in players, to replace him in the midfield. But when Man U got Ugarte was not living up to the expectation, because everybody was expecting Ugarte to come into the team and get to replace Casemiro. But this Casemiro guy proved himself again, and it was a starter. When Amorim came in, at some point Amorim stopped using him. Amorim started using other players, and this guy worked his heart up and get to start games again, get to be in the top first 11 again. And that tells you the kind of player that Casemiro is. And I mean, you can't tell me that someone that have won it all, he has won it all in Real Madrid, still come to Manchester United, still won some few trophies. That is not a failure. That was the management failure, not Casemiro failure. Because when Casemiro came, he was supposed to play 2-3 years and get a replacement, but the board refused to do the needful. They refused to buy the right player. They refused to recruit. I mean, the recruit department was the problem of Manchester United. And Casemiro, yes, he was old already, and he was leaving at the very right time. So Casemiro was never a failure. He scored goals, he made an assist, he defended with all his heart. Anytime he's playing for Manchester United, you always see the seriousness. So how can you say Casemiro is a failure? I really don't agree to that. And yeah, I don't agree to that.